Hi, I'm going to try to make this video and load it up. And on this video, we're going to cover chapter 14 of our text. However, just a few things. I'm having trouble using the YouTube, so you may have a problem doing that as well. But if you do, when you do get it loaded into YouTube, set it for public. I think that will cause the least problems with your speech videos. Now I want to talk a little bit about the outlining of the books. I'm giving you a 3-day extension this week to complete those, chapters 12 and 14. And what I'm really looking for is kind of following the outline that is in your text and just filling in some information so that I know that you looked over the text. It needs to be longer than a page, but 2 to 3 pages ought to be maximum. If you're wondering, when will I find time to do this? Well, you've got 3 hours in your class time, and that might be a good time to do it when you would normally be in class. Well, let's begin our lecture by understanding something about the purpose statement. There are three general purposes for a speech. To inform is one. The second one is to persuade. And the third one is to celebrate or entertain. Your first speech is going to be a speech to inform. And so you need to understand that you're not trying to persuade anybody. And although a little bit of humor is okay, the purpose is not to entertain. The purpose is to inform. And so you need a specific purpose statement. And I like a 2-sentence specific purpose statement. The first sentence will begin, the purpose of this speech is to inform my audience about, and then you will give the name of the country. The second sentence, I will do this by, and you will talk or mention the 3 things you're going to talk about that country. It might be its economy, it might be its religious background, it might be its war history, it could be its the makeup of the people, their genetic background, where they came from. It could be the age of the population in the country. It could be the current COVID-19 crisis and how it's affecting that country. But you're going to tell us 3 things, and only 3 things, basically, about the country. So you're going to have 3 main points. And so your purpose statement will be, the purpose of this speech is to inform my audience about, let's say, Italy. I will do this by talking about A, her aging population, or Roman numeral 1, aging population, Roman numeral 2, her history, Roman numeral 3, the current COVID-19 crisis. So, when you look at your speech template, which I loaded into the course for you, you will notice that it begins with the title, and then it talks about the purpose statement. And I want you to put that purpose statement in your outline. Now, you do not share the purpose statement with your audience. The purpose statement is for you. It is your North Star, your roadmap, telling you what you want to accomplish with this speech and how you intend to accomplish it. The top of the template says, how to outline a speech or something like that. You can erase that and just start with your name, the title, the purpose statement, and then you come to the introduction of your speech. Now, the introduction of your speech, remember A. O. Smith drinks R.C. A. Attention. O. Orient or introduce the topic. Smith, credibility. Why should I listen to you give this speech? And then drinks, which is your action verb, and that is your central idea or your thesis statement. So, in your introduction, the first thing you want to do is capture the attention of your audience. You can do this with a story, with a quotation, some surprising fact or statistic, a quote, a joke. And then you want to introduce your topic. And part of introducing the topic is showing how it is important to your audience. Then you want to establish your right to speak on this topic. Why should I listen to you? And then you will notice that I have separated the central idea away from the rest of the introduction. Technically, it's the fourth part of the introduction. But I've separated it out so that when you look at it, when you look at your outline, when you're giving your speech, it will be separate and will stand out. And hopefully you won't forget to give us your central idea. It's also known as a thesis or a proposition. It contains a preview of main points often. And of course, it transitions then to your first main point. You will have 3 main points, and these will be about 80% of your speech, 75 to 80%. 3 main points. Now, I've set it up with 3 main points, your template, 3 main points. Main points take Roman numerals. Then subpoints take capital A, B, and C. And I've had 3 of them, but you may only have 2 or you might have 4. Might have 5. But you can't have just one subpoint. You know, you can't have a Roman numeral 1 without a Roman numeral 2. You can't have an A without a B. You can't have a 1 without a 2. Okay? So, then you have a transition statement that moves from the main point that you've completed to the next main point. It can be a restatement of the main point of that main point. You can tell us what you've told us, and then you can tell us what you're going to tell us, or introduce or give the name of the next main point. So you'll do 3 main points. That's important to remember. I want to know 3 things about the country that you're talking about. And then you will signal your conclusion. Or actually, the conclusion signals in. You might say something like, as we conclude, or before I finish, I want to reemphasize. And then you might restate your main points. And then you're going to close with what's called a clincher or a memorable close. So, let's review very briefly. The introduction, A.O. Smith drinks. Attention, orientation to topic, credibility, central idea drinks. 3 main points, at least 2 subpoints under each main point, at least 2 sub-subpoints under each subpoint, a transition between each main point. Then you come down to the conclusion. Remember, what does A.O. Smith drink? He drinks RC. That's not Crown Royal, it's Royal Crown Cola. Okay? And the R is a restatement of your main points, and the C is a clincher. Now, you also need a reference page. You can call it a bibliography. You can call it sources. You can call it citations. I don't care what you call it. I'm not teaching English. I just want to know where you got your information. Now, when you quote somebody in your speech, you need to give an oral citation. The name, where you found this information, just very briefly. If you're quoting a statistic, where did you find that statistic? If you're telling something interesting that nobody would probably know, you have to tell us where you found that information. And then, of course, you will include all of that in your reference page at the end of the speech. Now, understand you're not trying to persuade with this speech. It's not a speech to persuade. It's not a speech to entertain. It is a speech to inform. And remember, A.O. Smith Drinks RC, and use the information in the speech template. By the way, before I leave you, remember to check for announcements every day. Thank you, and have a great day. God bless you. Goodbye.